Hey guys, coming up next, I'm going to show you a dish that beautifully represents New England as they transition from summer to fall in this summertime cod stew. We're having the warm days, cool nights, and a lot of comfort dishes are coming back to the dinner table this time of year. So if you're interested, this recipe is at kcknh.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now, whether you're a local here in New England or you're a tourist that loves to vacation here, we are known for the fresh seafood that we have access to here, and it's certainly some of the best cuisine you'll ever have with the seafood that you can find in New England. And of course, this time of year, we are hooded sweater weather after certain times of the day. As we go into fall, our nights are nice and cool, and we are looking at this from a what can we use this time of year that gives us the flavors of summer but warms you up at night. So it is a long list of ingredients, but you can find it. That's the best part about it. And I will say that this is going to be a little bit prep work crazy. Take your time, don't rush through it. I'm here to help support you in any way I can. So, for this dish, I'm working with fresh cod. You can use haddock, you can use whatever fresh fish you like. I'm using cod because it holds up very well when I'm working with soups and stews. So I'm taking the fillet off, and I'm looking at the cod portion here that we often would call it a loin or captain's cut. And I'm doing a 3-finger measure here just to give me an idea on portion control. So I'm going to clean this up. Now you can have the skin or not, it's up to you. This already had the skin removed, so I wasn't really going to worry about it. But you could certainly tell your fish guys to remove any skin from fish that you're purchasing. So here I've got a 3-finger measure. Can't really give you details on actual measurement, just use your best judgment for this. So now I'm just moving the cod loin over to a plastic dish here. You could use a takeout lid, which is perfect. Now I'm going to get the rest of the fish here. Now it is larger but thinner, so I'm just being a little bit bigger on the portion sizes here. And we're going to move that to the side as well. Now, one thing you definitely want to make sure of, make sure one hand is dry at all times. That's going to be your spicing hand. So I've got salt, pepper, and garlic here, already pre-mixed, and I'm just making sure my fish is well coated. Don't want to use too much, but I'm not adding salt to the pot when I make the soup base. So I'm okay with a little bit extra salt on this, because that's just going to go right into the bowl, and it's going to be a beautiful married dish. So we've got the fish all seasoned, so we're going to take that aside and make sure we wash our hands. Make sure you wash your knife too as well. Now, I cannot afford fresh spinach. $5 a pound. Yeah, no, you can go pound sand. So get yourself a bag of frozen spinach. They typically come in a pound. I'm going to take half that bag, and I'm going to put it in the sink. It's going to get out of my way. I'm going to rinse it off with a little bit of water, and that's going to help speed thaw this, guys. Honestly, it's the fastest way to do it. It only takes a few minutes, which is wicked awesome. And I'm doing it in a strainer. That way I don't have to worry about finding little bits and pieces. But as you can see here, I got to break up a few icy clumps of spinach, and I want the water to hit this as best as I can. So we'll put that off to the side in the sink. Now, I always have tomato sauce made ahead of time. If you can only get canned, that's fine. Just run it through a strainer, guys. Now, I'm working with fennel. I absolutely love the beautiful flavors of fennel, but I can only handle so much. Fennel can sometimes be a little overwhelming. So I got the smallest one I could find, and we're going to remove the stems. We're actually going to use everything. Might not use all of the fennel, but I always have plans for other things I can use the extra fennel fronds for. They are perfect for garnishing. Put it on pizza, And you can use it for dressings and marinades. It's good flavor making right there. So I'm gonna look at that fennel bulb here. Now sometimes the bottom looks a little so I'm gonna do a light shave just to remove the gunk, not by much. Now the bottom is nice and clean. So I'm gonna take my knife and cut this in half, specifically this section. We see the little bit of the root at the bottom. We're gonna actually need to remove a little bit of that, not all of it, because I need these slices that we're gonna do to be intact. So I'm gonna take a triangular cut, and it's gonna be very easy to remove. So just be careful, tip of the knife, and get in there with a triangular cut, and you should be able to pick this out with your fingers. See, nice and clean. And do that with the other half of the bulb, and as you can see here, our work is done. Now, this is a warning. If you are someone who has a mandolin at home, please be very careful. Use the guard that comes with it, or if you are fortunate enough to have a cut glove, please wear it. I personally have very sore knuckles, and gripping sometimes can be a challenge, so I use a cut glove and I put a disposable glove over it. It helps me out so I don't risk slipping. I'm doing about 4 millimeters, probably a hair over 1/8 of an inch, give or take. I had to do a best guess on this, to be truthful with you. We want to make sure that this mandolin is actually in an upward position. Now, if the fennel doesn't fit it perfectly, do a light shaving cut on the side. Very little, as you can see right here. That should be cleared enough for that to be able to go up and down on the mandolin. Now, as you can see, this is one solid foodstuffs. This bulb here has some beautiful fibrous material to it. It's just a beautiful clean flavor, texture, so it might be a little challenging on the mandolin. If you do not have it, use your knife. And of course, like always, be very mindful of your knife cuts. We want to keep it as thin as possible. Ultimately, we're going to put this in a pan and it's going to do a light browning on it. That's the goal for this. I'm keeping it separate. Now, those stems we removed, I'm actually going to do a thin cut on these as well, but I'm going to use my knife for that. Look at that. It's beautiful. A little heart shape. Now, this has quite a bit of flavor in the stems. I find the darker the green, the better the flavor. I've always enjoyed snacking on that as a kid in the summertime. It was very refreshing. So as you can see, we're just taking our time. Let the knife do the work, guys. Do some thin slices. And as you go, just make sure your fingers are curled inward. We don't want to have any savagery done to yourself. And always pick this up as you go. Oh, sometimes it's hard picking them up. I've got a separate container already set up there. And we're going to keep the same setting if you're using your mandolin, about 4 millimeters, or roughly just a hair over 1/8. We're going to do carrot chips. I don't want these big guys. We're doing a fast cooking stew. There's a lot of work to do the prep, but to get the dinner finally cooked, it's fast. So I have these beautiful carrot chips that we're going to make. And for me, doing this is just faster and easier on the mandolin. I don't have to worry about consistency. It's going to do it for me. Use any color carrot you want. That's up to you. I had some extra carrots left over from my last farm stand run. And I think I put about 4 ounces worth last I remember. Now, I had some leftover 8-ball zucchini. There is no requirement that you have to look for this. In fact, at this point of the game, there's probably no more 8-ball unless the farm has been really doing a good job. You could use any zucchini you want, but you don't need a whole lot, guys. Get rid of the seeds and the soft flesh in the middle. We want the actual zucchini base itself. So I'm going back to my mandolin. Use your knife if you feel more comfortable. And again, this is giving me consistency in my slices. This will cook slightly longer than the rest of the stuff. So everything will be shown when we get to the point of the video where we see everything coming together. And I'm doing the same thing with the onions. Go ahead and do top and bottom cuts, remove that peel, clean off your cutting board as you go as best as you can. I try to hit all the vegetables first on the main cutting board. It just works better that way for me. And I'm going to take my mandolin again, same 4mm cut. Now you could see here clearly the onion's got a big ass, so we're going to slice a little bit off the sides. I'll actually put those in the soup because they're still nice and thin. And we'll run this also through the mandolin. Again, use your knife if you don't have one, or if you feel more safer with a knife, by all means, make that choice for yourself. And of course, we gotta do fresh tomato for this, and it does make a big deal happen. So we're gonna do a basic small dice on this, and this is gonna get its own individual container as well. Yes, I use a lot of containers when I'm prepping food. It's just the way I work. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it, but typically cooking in stages really does need to have separate containers so you can time everything. It's just a good habit to get into, believe it or not, and it makes you a better cook that way. You start learning about time management. So definitely keep that in mind with this recipe here, because you will see it written up in stages. And each vegetable I've highlighted, it's got its own section just to help you guys out. So I've got my tomatoes ready to go. I'm going to pull that spinach out of the sink. It sat there for about 20 minutes, and I've already wrung out the fluid in the sink. Now I'm just going to go through it and make sure there's no hard stems. Sometimes in frozen spinach you might find that. So just run your fingers through it, break it up. And if you don't find anything, that's great. So you already have your container. You can move that to the stove along with everything else. So that's kind of nice. Done deal. Now, fresh dill is your choice. It's optional. You do not have to get this. If you have dried, great. Not everyone likes dill. Sometimes it's too gardeny, too grassy of a flavor, and that's okay. So I'll leave that up to you guys. It's entirely a choice you have to decide on. We're just going to do a rough chop on that. And now we are at the stove. So I have medium-high heat happening. I've got the butter and the olive oil. Use your own amounts that you prefer. I didn't go more than about 1.5 tablespoons of each. And I did hit it more with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm okay with the extra seasoning. You'll see in the recipe I'm not adding it to the soup base. So we're going to position this fish into the pan. Don't worry about putting a timer on. I find with fish, it's really about having good eyesight on color changes and the smells that come through. So as you can see gradually with the videos, they're kind of segmented. You'll see color changes on the side and the bottom. You start losing the fishy, fleshy color tone here, and it starts transitioning to white. After about 4 to 5 minutes on one side, I'm ready to go ahead and flip everything over. Just be careful. The fish is going to be very delicate. Just do the best you can. It's okay. Now, when I work with haddock and cod, I only cook it 90% of the way. Why? Because if I cook it 100%, I'm going to overcook it. So, 90% of the way is about 4 to 5 minutes on one side. The other side is about 3 to 4, depending on thickness. And I'm going to move these cooked pieces of cod to a plate off to the side. And as you can see here, some light browning has happened. Oh God, this is so beautiful. I love cod. Now I'm not going to drain the pan, and I'm not going to clean it. We want that flavor. It's flavor building, flavor profiling, and we're going to make this fennel dead sexy, guys. So I've got that fennel lying down in the pan, And you'll take note, this is going to brown relatively fast because the heat's already up. And I've already got all those flavors in the pan. And you're going to start seeing some light browning on the fennel. When it's no longer that bright white color, you know it's almost time to pull them out of the pan. So be mindful, don't walk away because they can burn. They taste nasty when they're burned. So babysit the pan. Now, you can see I'm just moving a few of these pieces around because sometimes I have some hot spots with this electric stove, which sucks, but I do the best I can. So right away I can see some of these can actually come out of the pan. I don't want them overcooking. And I'm going to move over to a soup pot. So I'm doing a little bit more heavier butter here, 2 tablespoons of that with olive oil. And in goes the carrots, fennel stems, and onion. Now the fluids that are found in these vegetables are going to sweat out, so it's going to help you with the cooking process here. And after about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5, I'm going to hit my heavy garlic here. I have a rude amount of garlic. Please be prepared to make your own decision on how much garlic you prefer. I'm working with some very simple flavors, and I do love a lot of garlic in my dishes for soups. This is one of them. It does go very well where it's a tomato base. So mix that in, and now we're working with herb de Provence. That can be found at local stores. You might be able to find it online cheaper than the local stores. You just got to do your shopping. And definitely attack this with your wine. I am not recommending a substitution for this. The wine is a New England thing into some of the seafood dishes that we actually love enjoying here. This does need the wine. Vinegar is not going to give you the same flavor profile. You can certainly just do extra on the vegetable stock or if you have fish stock. But again, you're messing with the recipe if you don't use the wine. So that's your decision to make. So now I'm hitting it with my vegetable stock because we're coming down to the point where this is almost done. I'm going to add my tomato sauce here, which has been strained. We'll get that all nice and mixed well. And to be honest, guys, this is really the end of the road at this point. You just bring it up to temp. Always taste test and make adjustments if you need to. Add your dill if you decided to join me in enjoying that beautiful flavor. Mix that in and go get your bowl set up and start ladling this off. I am telling you, this goes well with some fresh baked bread, crackers. Hell, if you're into soft baked pretzels, that'd go really good with this. And we're going to hit it with the tomato at the end. I love the fresh tomatoes hanging in there with that slight toothsome feel. And we're going to get that ladled up, and I'm going to show you what it looks like with the fish all dressed up, guys. This is such a good dish. It's so easy to make, just requires a little extra time. And as you can see here, that fennel is dressing the plate beautifully. They're not just a garnish, they certainly add to this dish beautifully, guys, and it's such a great flavor. And of course, we've got the full dish to show you. Look at the colors. Look at those ingredients, guys. I really hope you'll go ahead and try that. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, you know where to find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks, guys. Take care.